Hi everybody, and welcome to Catherine Sews. Today I'm really excited because I have a pretty awesome update for you about my video for making masks. I'll post that here. If you haven't seen that, I think that's a really great method to make masks. The first thing that made that really fast was snipping and tearing your squares. Instead of cutting small pieces, we snipped and tore our fabric to make 6-inch squares for women, 7-inch squares for men. And that's really nice and fast. If you're cutting out curved pieces, it takes a lot longer, and you've got a lot of small little scrappy pieces that are going to waste. By snipping and tearing squares, we've got no waste, and it's really fast. So I like that a lot. One thing I didn't like about that method, though, was the 1/4-inch elastic. Right? It's really hard to find anymore. It's sold out all over the world, I think. And it's really fiddly to work with. I hated that little join like that, right? My students and I have been making masks for migrant workers that work in the fields and greenhouses in our area here. A lot of them are from Guatemala, so they're really far from home. They feel really alone, and they wanted masks. So we've been making dozens of masks. We really appreciate those guys keeping food on our plates, so we wanted to show our appreciation for all the work that they do. So we've been making dozens of masks. So the last time I made masks, I had to do that 72 times, which was no fun. So that's what I didn't like in that method. So 2 problems, right? You can't find it, and it's kind of a pain. So yesterday, a student of mine gave me a great idea of using an alternative to the 1/4-inch elastic. And I know some people have been using things like hair ties. It doesn't work for this method. I think it can work for other methods where you're sandwiching the elastic in, but for this method it doesn't work because you need it to be a ring, and the hair ties are just too small of a ring. So that didn't work. Shout out to my student Cooper for giving me the idea of using pantyhose. So the pantyhose solve both problems. They're easy to find, and they're actually way easier to use. And third thing, they are actually, I think, much more comfortable behind the ears. I had to experiment around a lot to find what I think is the best way to use pantyhose instead of elastic. So let me show you how to do that. When Cooper gave me the idea of using pantyhose, I looked around on YouTube, and there are a few different ways that people are using them. And this is why I love YouTube as a platform. Somebody puts out a great idea. Somebody else says, well, what about this? It gets better. And as we keep sharing the idea, it gets better and better. So I think this is a little bit better. In one method, they cut across the leg of the pantyhose just 1 centimeter wide. And that just makes a real skinny strip like that is way too loose. I can't use it for this method at all. It's kind of useless to me. And it makes such a tight little string that if that was behind my ear, I think that would hurt. So did not like the 1 centimeter. I went wider to 5 centimeters, much better, but still the masks were a little bit too loose. So the ideal width for what I've been experimenting with is 8 centimeters or 3 inches wide. So let me show you that. Here are my 2 layers of pantyhose, and I'm just going to cut off the toes, and then I'm going to cut them into 3-inch wide strips just across the whole leg. The 3-inch wide strips, you just take that tube, stretch it out, and it becomes a nice soft ring that's going to be easy to work with and comfortable to wear. Another thing that I saw on YouTube that does not work for this method is people taking the rings of the cut-up pantyhose, cutting them, and then putting that on a safety pin and threading it through the casing, which I think can work if you're using a different style of mask. But for this style of mask, don't cut up the ring. You need that, right? We don't want to have to join that back up together. I think it's much faster to prepare your casing the way we have been. This is exactly the method I was showing in the other video. Prepare your casing the way we have been. Get it all ready to sew. And then just take the ring of your cut up pantyhose, tuck that in, and pin that in place. I think that method is much faster than cutting this and feeding it through and then connecting it. So now we're just going to be sewing right in that ditch, just like in the other video showed, and we're done. There's a finished mask with the pantyhose loops on the end instead of the elastic, I actually prefer it over the quarter-inch elastic, not just because it's faster, easier to find, but also it really is more comfortable behind your ears. So I think that's the best way to make a mask. Let me give you a few more tips on wearing a non-surgical mask in public. So first of all, let me say that I think a lot of people are thinking that because restrictions are being lifted in some areas, that the time for making masks is over. But you know what? I don't think so, because workers are going back into the workforce. Teachers are going back into the classroom. People that work in stores, the stores are reopening. And so the more we're out in public interacting, the more we really need these non-surgical homemade masks. So I think this is more important than ever. First of all, when you put it on, the pleats go down. If you have it pleats going up, then the idea is that stuff can get collected in there. That's not great. Try not to touch the mask with dirty hands, obviously. Right? So use your hand sanitizer first if you have to adjust the mask in any way. First thing you do when you get home is probably wash your hands, right? Take your mask off, wash your hands, and with the same hand soap that you use to wash your hands, wash your mask. Just wash that in the sink. Hand soap kills the virus. So just give it a good wash and then hang it up to dry, and it'll be ready for you for tomorrow. So that's my update. I hope you like that idea as much as I do. I think it's pretty genius. If you like today's video, please hit like and subscribe, because that makes me feel so good. My name is Catherine, and I can't wait to sew with you again. Take care.